going on, my dear 𝐬𝐴𝐻𝐸𝐴𝑡s? Welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at the pirates from the base set of Smash Up. And before we get started, I'd like to give two huge shout outs. First to AEG for allowing me to use their high-res crisp images of their cards, which is gonna make these videos even better. And the next shout out to Jim at 𝐬𝐴𝐝𝐸𝐴𝑡. Now I highly doubt that if you're watching my videos, you're not already subscribed to 𝐬𝐴𝐝𝐸𝐴𝑡. But if you're not, please go on over there and give Jim a subscribe. And if you're looking for more insight on Smash Up, 𝐬𝐴𝐝𝐸𝑡 is the place to go. Quick shout out to Stefan for giving us the suggestion to do the pirates today. So the pirates are a standard faction, having 10 minions and 10 actions. Let's take a look at the minions. You have 4 level 2 first mates, 3 level 3 saucy wenches, 2 level 4 buccaneers, and 1 level 5 pirate king. The first mate has a special ability that says after this base is scored, you may move this minion to another base instead of the discard pile. The saucy wench says you may destroy a minion of power 2 or less on this base. The buccaneer's special ability says if this minion would be destroyed, move it to another base instead. And of course, the pirate king himself has a special ability that says before a base is scored, you may move him to there. Now taking a look at the actions, you got 2 copies of Dinghy that says you get to move up to 2 of your minions to other bases. You have 2 copies of Broadside, which says destroy all of one player's minions of power 2 or less on a base where you have a minion. You have 1 copy of Full Sail, which says move any number of your minions to other bases, and it has a special tag on it that says before a base is scored, you can play this card. You have 1 copy of Cannon that says destroy up to 2 minions of power 2 or less. 1 copy of Powder Keg, which says destroy one of your minions and all minions with equal or less power on the same base. You got 1 copy of Shanghai, which says move another player's minion to another base. 1 copy of Swashbuckling, which says each of your minions gains +1 power until the end of the turn. And finally, 1 copy of Sea Dogs, which says you get to name a faction and move all other players' minions of that faction from one base to another. And in the Smash Up Titans event kit was released the Kraken. Now, as many other Titans solve the weaknesses of the faction, the Kraken doesn't really have this sort of weakness patching, but instead it really just boosts the power that the pirates already have, which is reducing the power of opposing minions, as well as your minion mobility. So let's take a look at the text. In order to get the Kraken out, it says after a base scores where you had a minion while this card is not in play, you may say release the Kraken to play this Titan on a base that replaces it. And the talent of the Kraken says move this Titan to another base. And then all other players' minions there get -1 power until the end of the turn. And then its special ability says after this base scores, move one of your minions from here to another base instead of the discard pile. If that sounds familiar, you're right. It's the same exact text that's on the first mate. So the pirates have 2 really great strengths. The first one is a ton of movement. Now I'm a huge fan of movement in Smash Up, whereas you get to keep your minions on the board and not have to build up another army. We see this with the first mate, the Buccaneer, and the Pirate King, and then the actions Full Sail, Dinghy, Shanghai, and Sea Dogs. Secondly, the pirates have a good amount of destruction, with the Saucy Wenches, Broadside, Cannon, and Powder Keg. Now taking a look at the weaknesses, the pirates have a lot of destruction, but they don't handle it all that well. You have 2 Buccaneers that are invincible from destruction, but however, you really do want to keep your 4 first mates on the board as long as possible. So defending yourself from the destruction of your first mates is going to be the key. And of course, I say this in almost every single faction review, but they don't have a card draw engine. Honestly, the card draw weakness on the slides are becoming a little too repetitive, so I might not add the card draw weakness to future reviews, unless it's really prevalent. So Jim over at 𝐬𝐴𝐝𝐸𝐴𝑡 posted a really great reminder on the Smash Posting Facebook group that I thought would be great to highlight in this video. When taking a look at the pirates, the first thing that you should be looking at is, of course, no pun intended, is the first mate. If you can have the first mate on the board long enough and have him buffed up enough, you can essentially make a huge comeback victory. So the reminder here is that the gameplay doesn't actually end immediately once someone gets 15 victory points. There are 2 other things that need to be accounted for in Phase 3, which is the scoring bases phase. You have to check the before base scores abilities and the after a base scores abilities. And of course, the first mate has that after this base scores ability. So let's take a look at how this first mate can really shine. Now I know I'm going to be pronouncing this wrong, but Uber Serum from the Mad Scientist faction has a really sweet action that says play on a minion, and at the start of your turn place a +1 counter on this minion, and this minion cannot be destroyed. So essentially, if you have this on a first mate, he could be indestructible and be gaining power every single turn. Have him stick around long enough, and you can be pulling off that pretty sweet come from behind victory that we were just talking about. Other options, such as the Ocean Tattoo from the Polynesian Voyagers faction, says play on one of your minions at a base with no other player's minions, and then it has the talent, move this minion to another base to place a +1 counter on it. So every turn, if you have it on the first mate, you can move it around, but it's not indestructible like the 𝐓𝐴𝐲. Finally, another option that I have listed here is something like the Soldier from the Giant Ants faction. You get to place 2 +1 counters on this minion, then it has a talent that says you get to transfer a +1 power counter from this minion to another minion. So essentially, by buffing your first mate to ridiculous numbers, makes it really hard for other actions and minions to destroy it. But probably the 𝐓𝐴𝐲 is probably the best way to achieve this. Now, Robert did mention from the Smash Posting Facebook group that buffing up the first mate may not be the best strategy outside of a 1v1 match. The higher the player count, the higher the probability that there are other ways to get rid of the first mate other than destruction. Like we said, the 𝐓𝐴𝐲 does prevent destruction, but if you're playing against the aliens, for example, that return minions to hands, well, you're in for a really sad time. So let's take a look at other consistent strategies to help out the pirates. First, I'd like to highlight the Cyborg Apes. You have play on minion actions such as Cyber Evolution, Juiced Up, and Shielding that of course buff the first mate, but also buff all your other minions. The pirates are kind of similar as to, say, maybe the ninjas that have a lot of destruction, but they don't have a lot of ways to buff their own power. So the Cyborg Apes really patch this up a little bit. It's a very strong combo that I do suggest you try out. Next up is the Shark Pirates. Is it a fitting theme or not? The sharks and the pirates work really, really well. With the pirates having so much destruction, the sharks are really just cherry picking at the destruction and buffing their own power. And at the end of the day, the sharks really love the added bonus of destruction, but the pirates also have movement, which also the sharks have built into them. So while this combo is really strong in its power level, it still can provide some pretty cheeky turns with all the movement that it offers. Alright, now we're moving on to the great pairings for the pirates as said by you, the community over at Smash Posting Facebook group. Yeah, if you're not a part of the Smash Posting Facebook group, definitely head on over there after this video, because soon after this video, I will be going and putting the next poll for the next video very, very soon. So the Mad Scientists and the Cyborg Apes were very, very close, neck and neck. Just beating the Cyborg Apes by 1 vote were the Mad Scientists, taking 20% of votes. And then moving down the line, of course, Cyborg Apes had 19%, Giant Ants had 18%, just losing by 2 votes. And then the Polynesian Voyagers, 13%, Kung Fu Fighters, 11%, the Explorers, 6%, Bear Cavalry, 5%, Vikings, 3%, Mystic Horses, 2%, Sharks, 2%, and Aliens, 1%. Now, it looks like the theme here, as said by the community, is that the 𝐓𝐴𝐲 is pretty uber in itself. And really, can you blame them? Now, honestly, there's not that much non-ideal pairings for the pirates. They pretty much go well with almost everything, except for maybe the samurai, because the samurai benefit from your minions going to the discard pile. So with your pirates, you kind of want them on the board at all times. So yeah, I think the pirates are actually pretty synergistic with almost every single faction. However, there could be a couple things that I'm nitpicking with, like maybe the ninjas, because that might be too much destruction, but yeah, I really do think the pirates are pretty good with almost every single faction. Now, taking a look at the favorable matchups for the Pirates dream matchup is going against any faction that really can't destroy minions, as well as have weak minions overall. So, the Penguins, Giant Ants, Innsmouth, robots to a certain extent. Yes, the robots can spam, Penguins can also spam at some points. However, the Pirates just love it when you can't do anything to them and they can just destroy you, no problem. Now, I want to reiterate, favorable matchups could range anywhere from like a 55 to 45 favorable matchup. It could even range from like a 90 to 10 favorable matchup. But really, this is where I think the Pirates shine, destroying weak minion factions while also not being able to be destroyed itself. Now, conversely, factions that can destroy like no one's business and also have high-powered minions can be pretty problematic for the Pirates. Factions such as the Dinosaurs, the Bear Cavalry, Sharks, and Kaiju all come to mind. And with that said, that's the faction review for the Pirates. I'd be so thankful if you guys could hit that subscribe button and throw me a like down below, and also comment below what you'd like to see next in the next faction review. The base set has just 3 more factions left, the wizards, the zombies, and the robots. The choice is yours, my friends. Comment down below which one you would like to see. And of course, if you're not a part of that Facebook group that I mentioned, the Smash Posting Facebook group, go join over there so you can vote in what you think the great pairings are for one of those factions. And until next time, we'll see you in the next one. Peace!